you everybody for having us. I'm going to have Amani start by telling us a little bit about himself. I know Jeff already kind of introduced you a little bit, but maybe just tell us a little bit about who Amani is and what do you do on a daily basis, just the basic story.
Well, pretty much, as they said, I'm Kwizera Imani. I'm a student at Des Moines North High School, and I'm involved in programs such as the ROTC, and I'm just glad to be here today.
And you're 18, right?
Yes.
Senior at Des Moines North.
Mm-hmm.
And how's that going so far?
So far, it's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So far?
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't always live in Des Moines, though, right?
Yes. Well, it all started back in the 1994 with the Rwanda genocide, and over time, it spread down to Burundi, which was where my parents were from, and they had to relocate where they moved to Kigoma, where I was born on February 17, 1997. And we were unable to stay at that place because the cost of living was too expensive. So we relocated again to a refugee camp called Mutabila, where it kind of became my home for the next 10 years of my life.
Right, and then at that camp, you went to school, right? We were talking about how school was like there.
Yes. School there was kind of challenging. I mean, there was always, like at the camp, it's kind of hard because not many people get an opportunity to go to school. Mm-hmm. So I was fortunate to be one of the students to be able to go to the school. And it was kind of challenging because some of the teachers will whack us with a stick if we didn't know some of the answers. And there's always the stress of meeting the requirement of 80% proficiency to move on to the next grade.
Right.
Yes.
And so then after that, it was in the 5th grade, right?
Yes.
In 2008,
mm-hmm.
the United Nations picked your family to come to the United States.
Yeah. In 2008, the United Nations selected a group of families that were affected by the genocide, and happily we were chosen. We got here in February of 2008.
Okay, and what was that transition like? I mean, Amani, I can't even imagine what that was like.
Well, the transition was very hard for me and my family because we were from a different culture. We come here and everybody speaks English, so the language barrier was very hard for me and my family. Right,
so how'd you pick that up then, English? I mean, you're here now, what, seven years later?
Yes.
I'm not a math person, guys, sorry. 7 years later, and yeah. you couldn't even tell. So how did you eventually learn English and bring that into your life?
Well, over time, I began to hang out with some of my friends that spoke English, and I would stay over at their house, and I would take a dictionary with me so I could actually speak English to get what I wanted because they didn't speak my language. So that kind of helped me excel in my ELL class, and because I would be using the applications I was learning in that class at the house, at my friend's house.
I remember we were talking yesterday, because we've had this conversation already, guys, but we were talking about this yesterday, and you mentioned how you brought a dictionary with you.
Yes.
And you would actually read through the dictionary and would pick out words to say what you needed to say.
Yeah, the dictionary was helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet. So what was something when you came to America that was just, what, they do that here? What is this?
One of the things that shocked me is that students are actually able to engage with teachers. You know, I don't have to run away every time I see my teachers here now, because I'm not afraid of being whacked by a stick now. And just it was just a different environment with all the fast food and everything. I am used to just being able to eat fruits that you plant from your garden or something like that.
Right. So that's what I was saying. I was telling him yesterday. I was like, well, I'm coming over to your house to eat because it sounds like they eat pretty good.
Yeah.
Growing stuff in their own backyard. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. So then it was in 8th grade, right, that you finally had mastered English enough that you were able to transition into your 8th grade, or into your traditional classes with students your age. Yes. What's happened since then?
Ever since I have been able to finish all the classes that I'm required to take to graduate high school, and I decided to challenge myself and take AP courses. I'm currently taking 5 AP classes just to get myself ready for college and just get in that background and challenge myself and get ready.
Right. And then you're in ROTC also?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I am involved with the ROTC program. I've been in there for 4 years, and I love it just because it's a program that gets students who we have a diverse students in that class, and we get them engaged, and we teach them pretty much the knowledge behind all of the things, and we inform them of the situations that are going on around the world. So it's kind of nice to be able to get a kid who doesn't even speak English like me and bring him in a team setting and be able to produce him and be able to excel him into his education.
Right. So 5 AP courses.
Yes.
Guys, 5 AP courses in his senior year. So, okay, but let's back up though, because in your junior year, that's when you completed all, by his junior year, he completed all of the courses that he needed to graduate.
Yes.
How crazy is that? So what motivated you to get to do that? Yeah, come on, yeah.
Well, I think my motivation is from my parents, because my dad has sacrificed so much for me to be here. He left his family and came here so I can be able to get a good education and a better way of life. So I kind of get that from him, and I kind of want to be able to say thank you for all you have done, and this is what I'm going to do because of all the sacrifices that you made.
Money, that's really important. That's
Yes.
really awesome. And so the 5 AP courses that you're taking, what 5 are those?
I'm taking AP Calculus, AP Government, AP Physics, AP Stat, and AP Literature and Composition.
Wow. Yeah. So there's a handful of STEM classes in there. So would you say you're a fan of STEM? I guess
Yes.
like you kind of have to be, being on this stage, right?
Yeah, I really do like, math is one of the subjects that always came easy for me, so I kind of get, I am more interested in STEM classes. And in 9th grade, I was fortunate enough to go and apply for a Des Moines Airport program called Aviation. And in that program, it kind of encouraged me to pursue STEM careers.
And so at the Des Moines Airport, that experience that you had, is that kind of where your interest in STEM began?
Yes, that's where it began. In that class, we will learn the proper way to inspect aircraft, the regulations behind aviations, and the mechanics behind the aerospace and aircraft system. So it's kind of pushed me into pursue STEM careers.
Wow. So you're interested then in aerospace?
Yes.
Type.
That's one of the things I'm going to be planning to do next year. I'm going to go to Iowa State and take aerospace engineering there.
All right.
Yes.
That'll be great. We'll have you still here in Iowa for a while, it sounds like.
Yes, thank you.
That'll be good. So then, you talk about your interest in STEM. Would you say your friends in your classes are interested in STEM too? Do you see that?
I wouldn't say that there's that many who are interested. I
Not
think
many.
it's once the students get in high school, they think it's too hard for them to, go into STEM classes, and that's unfortunate.
It is. It's really unfortunate.
Yes.
So, you have the entire STEM council here. You have corporate partners here. You have some state legislators here. You have teachers, principals, administrators. You have all these people here in front of you. What's the one recommendation you want them to leave with as far as getting your friends and other people interested in STEM?
I think one of the things that we need to do is to pretty much get those kids who are not interested in STEM careers and pretty much take them on a field trip to just show them like these are the benefits that STEM program has, because I don't think many of them know all those benefits that STEM has. And if we get those kids interested in, for example, if we were to take one student and a couple of students and say, let's go to Rockwell College for one day and just to see the experience of the kind of engineering and all the employees that are working there and just see what they do, and I think they will start getting used to like, this is why I learned the Pythagorean theorem in class. This is why it's important for me to go to physics class, just because that's what the real world is kind of showing them, like, you can be this, but and STEM comes in, that's where it comes in. It just says, here are the classes that we offer you so you can be able to be like that guy who's working at Rockwell College.
That's exactly what we need.
Yes.
That's exactly what we need. Any final thoughts for the audience today? Anything that's...
One of the things I would say is that we need to strengthen and implement more STEM classes at the elementary and middle school level. So because if we engage kids and students at a young age, because their brain is still developing, they're able to get we're able to increase more numbers in the STEM fields. We're able to get them more excited. And I think once we do that, students, when they get in high school, they will be more engaged and more want to join the STEM fields.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so, yes. So I want to open the questions up to the audience, as I'm sure, we've only touched on a small snippet of Imani, and he has such an amazing story, and we're so honored that he was here today to share that with us and to open up about his past and all of that. So are there any other questions out there for Imani? There's roaming mics, so don't feel like if you're way back there that you can't ask.
Hi, Imani. Thank you for being in ROTC, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about your experience with that, but I also want to ask you maybe a question other people are thinking. What do you plan to do after Iowa State?
Yes. First, for the ROTC part, I am one of their PT officers, so my job is to pretty much get all the kids and make sure they're in the proper shape the Marine Corps standard sets. And for the PT officer, I select a group of 6 students, and those kids we get to train every day, and we're training right now. We're going to compete after today for competition. We're trying to qualify for San Diego, which is the whole national championship for the whole physical fitness team. And the thing that I'm going to be pursuing after Iowa State is that I plan on going back to Tanzania and pretty much be able to build an organization that gets students there into engineering programs, because they don't have that many over there.
It's kind of hard to see.
So, Imani, a question for you parallel to that. What drives you forward? You seem to, other than wanting to pay back your parents or acknowledge or honor their investment, what drives you day to day?
The thing that drives me is, I haven't shared this part, is that at a young age, I lost my mother and sister due to the lack of medication. And that was one of the things that was there at the refugee camp. We didn't have that much, and I want to be able to go and help out people that are having these problems, because I think if we were to, I think if they had a hospital or some kind of medication, or people that are engaged in innovating and helping out, that, she could have had that medication, but we didn't have that there. I think the thing that drives me is to be able to help people in any way that I can.
Any other questions? Bueller? Hey. Okay, well, if that is all the questions that we have, I guess we'll welcome our Executive Director, Jeff Weld, back to the stage.